Well, where do I start? Let me start with some amazing news first. The Artemis looks like it's going to be pushed back to March. It was supposed to launch here soon, but let's take a minute for any of us who are old enough to remember what happened to the Challenger. The Challenger blew up because it was sitting on the pad, and the temperatures in Florida went below freezing. Well, that's exactly what has happened. These are solid booster rockets that are strapped to the side of Artemis, the same kind that were on the Challenger. I know we found the O-ring problem, et cetera, et cetera. We're supposed to solve that, but I'm hoping that they're going to put that thing back into, it'd take them a day to roll that back into the shed, if you will, and test it and make sure we can't afford to lose the Artemis. But the other thing that happened yesterday is the largest company now in the history of the world, the most valued company in the entire world was created. SpaceX and xAI merged yesterday. That makes them the most profitable, most expensive company in the entire world. And I have to tell you, when I heard that last night, I thought, gosh, I feel like it's 1910 and somebody said, you should invest in the Bell system. Yeah, maybe. This might be AT&T. It might be the railroads, might be Pan Am, when Pan Am was something. This is huge. And let me explain. Right now, SpaceX has announced yesterday that they are going to launch 1 million satellites into space. 1 million satellites into space for the cloud and for AI processing. AI processing up in space, you can keep it cool, and you don't have to have any of the water problems, you don't have any of the cooling problems, the energy problems, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's a perfect place to have processing done, is up in space. He's going to launch 1 million satellites. To give you some idea, right now, humanity has roughly 14,000 active satellites operating and orbiting Earth, okay? That's every nation, that's every military, that's every weather system, every GPS signal, every communications platform humanity has ever put into space is 14,000. Okay, so now SpaceX has filed plans of 1 million satellites over time going up into space. Even if only a fraction of that number is ever launched, this is not an expansion of what exists today. This is a complete redesign of space around Earth. This is a replacement of the scale itself. So to understand this, stop thinking in terms of technology and start thinking in terms of history, okay? When I first heard this, 1 million satellites, and I know we have 14,000 in space, I thought to myself, wow, that's kind of like somebody saying, yeah, I know we're expanding, and I know it's 1820, but everything west of the Missouri River is mine. Okay? I mean, the 1800s, power in America was not decided by the speeches. It was decided by who controlled the rivers, and then later, who controlled the railroads. When the railroads crossed the Missouri River, it wasn't just steel that was moving west. It was law, it was commerce, it was time, it was settlement. So the cities lobbied for the railroads. Please put the railroad tracks by us. Cities died when the railroads bypassed them, okay? No one announced everything west of the river is ours. They didn't have to. They built it first, and then everybody else had to adjust around that. And that is exactly what Elon Musk is doing right now, except the frontier is not land, it's the sky. Low Earth orbit is not infinite. I think there's, I want to say 6,000 in low Earth orbit. There are only so many usable altitudes out there. And, you know, you start launching things up into space, there's only so many collision-tolerant corridors. So there's so much junk up around that it has to be very carefully coordinated. At small numbers, satellites coexist. At massive numbers, they define everything. You place tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of objects into those corridors, you're no longer participating in space. You're designing and structuring it. Think of it this way. This isn't somebody claiming land west of the Rockies. It's closer to one company building every road, every bridge, every highway and say, everybody else can use them, but we built them first. Control doesn't require ownership. It requires scale. And that is what Elon Musk is very good at, scale. And this matters because for the first time in history, a private company is positioned to shape the planetary structure or infrastructure, a layer of infrastructure, faster than governments, cheaper than any nation, with replacement cycles measured in months, not decades. I mean, empires used to control land. Remember, I mean, this is exactly what the Vanderbilts did with the railroads. You know, they controlled the railroads. Navies controlled the seas. Nations controlled airspace. This is completely different. This is the normalization now of something entirely new. The sky itself becoming managed infrastructure. Okay? And history tells us something really, really important when this kind of stuff happens. Really important. People who arrive first, they don't just win. They set the rules that everybody else spends decades trying to renegotiate. So this isn't a warning. This is just an observation here. Every great power shift in history looks small right up until the time it doesn't. And by the time most people look up, the frontier is already gone. The other thing you have to understand, this is going to change our skies forever. You put 1 million, put 500,000, put 100,000 more satellites up into lower orbit space. It's going to change the look of the sky. When you go out at night, you're going to see a different sky. This is a game-changing announcement yesterday. Game-changing. I'm not sure I like it. I just want to point out it's massive.
Thank you for thinking for yourself and being part of a movement, because that's really what all of this is. If you want the full story, you want to go deeper, go to blazetv.com/Glenn. Go there right now, sign up, no interruptions, just the truth, uncensored and unfiltered. Don't just watch, take a stand. And I'll see you over there in a minute.